This person says, since the Bible doesn't explicitly say not to have sex before marriage, how do you have this conversation with your friends or children, etc.?
Okay, there's two ways to look at it. You're just going to have to give me a minute to explain this. Just because the Bible doesn't explicitly say something doesn't mean it's therefore moral and okay. So the question is, what pattern does the Bible set up for sexuality? It says, a man shall leave his father and mother, cling with his wife, the two shall become one, and to multiply and fulfill the earth, which of course is through the process of sex. That's the mechanism and means by which God has given us to multiply and fill the earth. Every other sexual activity outside of this is consistently condemned in the scriptures, in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. One reason why the Bible didn't say don't have sex before marriage is because this is kind of a modern day question in light of our dating culture. And now that we have things called birth control, where you can just have sex and no consequences, when the Bible was written, if you had sex with somebody, really good chance they were going to get pregnant. And there were also certain social expectations of that there's not today. And so I think when we look at the biblical pattern and the condemnation of any other sexual behavior outside of that, it's pretty clear that premarital sex is wrong. But I'll make a case for you as fast as I can without using the Bible. Here's why I think sex outside of marriage is wrong. Because you shouldn't lie. You're like, what are you talking about? Yeah, if you agree you shouldn't lie, then you shouldn't have sex with somebody outside of marriage. You say, what do you mean? Friends, we communicate with our words. We also communicate with our bodies. A slap means something. A hug means something. A punch means something even without words. So let me ask you a question. What does a kiss mean? Depends on the kind of kiss. Kiss on the cheek is very different than a kiss on the lips. In fact, a kiss on the forehead, there's someone in my life I kiss on the forehead all the time, and it's my 18-year-old daughter. It's a top-down fatherly blessing. I don't generally kiss my wife on the forehead. What is a kiss on the lips is not even necessarily romantic, right? It's okay to kiss a baby on the lips if it's your baby, just for the record. When you start shifting to a French kiss, even without words, now you're exchanging bodily fluids, and it necessarily moves towards the realm of being romantic. A French kiss communicates something about exclusivity, about commitment, about affection. It means something. We all know it. Well, what does sex mean? What does it communicate? Even without words, it communicates vulnerability. You're taking your clothes off with somebody, making yourself vulnerable. It communicates giving yourself away. It communicates affection for someone. It communicates commitment. We all know in movies that if A is going with B and A sleeps with C, we all know that A did something wrong. We know it because sex communicates exclusivity and commitment. And because sex produces a child, it's a baby-making kind of act, it also communicates permanence. So if sex communicates vulnerability, communicates exclusivity, commitment, giving yourself away, and permanence, then in what relationship do you match up with that physical act? Friends, it's called marriage. So ladies, if a guy says, I love you, I want to have sex with you, he's lying with his body and is no better than a car salesman who sold you a lemon and then gives you a shake and lies with his body that he gave you a good deal. By the way, there is a movie with Tom Cruise, early 2000s, called Vanilla Sky. And in that movie, he's, I think, having a sexual relationship with a character played by Penelope Cruz, breaks up with her, goes out with another blonde, and then the character of Penelope Cruz, if I remember, starts stalking him. She confronts him at one time and says, don't you know that I let you inside of me? Your body made a promise. even if you never did. Why is sex outside of marriage wrong? Because you're lying with your body. You say, well, why does it have to be marriage? Maybe it's just a marriage certificate. Ladies, if a guy says it's just a marriage certificate before you get married, it'll just be a marriage certificate after you get married. So I think we can know sex outside of marriage is wrong by looking at the scriptures and by just reflecting on what sex means and the kind of relationship that we know matches up with sex. It's called marriage.